Slurpty diddly derp, my G's. I hope you're doing well. Big ups to Chris Him. Big ups to Hill Runner Productions. Big ups to Money Goes Down. Euro Goes Down. Big ups to Ryan Anderson. Big ups to Digipax for the most recent comments. Today, my G's, it's Monday, and I wanted to make something very, very different today. I just got inspired by a little verse in the Old Testament, actually. And today we're going to create something a bit more peaceful. And so this is from Samuel chapter 16, verse 14. And this is where God rejects Saul. And he says here, "But the Spirit of the Lord had left Saul, and instead the Lord had sent a tormenting spirit that filled him with depression and fear. Some of Saul's aides suggested a cure. We'll find a good harpist to play for you whenever the tormenting spirit is bothering you," they said. "The harp music will quiet you, and you'll soon be well again." So we'll skip forward a little bit, and then on verse 23 it says, "And whenever the tormenting spirit from God troubled Saul, David would play the harp, and Saul would feel better, and the evil spirit would go away." So I thought, why don't I try to make a harp in Phase Plant? Because, you know, we can go full steam ahead, as always, with our heavy mental neurofunk basses. But what about taking a step back to relax, you know? Just chilling out with the harp, letting the evil spirits, you know, dissolve, you know? What's wrong with doing that every once in a while on a Monday? Anyway, I've gone ahead and created a harp, and I'm quite happy with the way it sounds. And it was not too difficult to make, and we're going to walk through it. And let me first show you what it sounds like first, and I'll drop this as a free preset as well over on my Patreon. I'll just attach you. I can attach a little zip file I've figured out in the Patreon post, so you don't have to like ask me for permission for Dropbox or something like that, because I think that's what happened last time on yesterday's preset. But yeah, I'll upload the little zip so you guys can download it if you want. But let's have a listen, and we'll do a little walkthrough together of this beautiful celestial harp. So here's how the harp sounds, and I found the best way to play it in a heavenly fashion is to only hit the white keys, alright? So ignoring all the black keys, just hitting some white ones. The last note there wasn't so nice, was it? Yeah, I'm not that good at piano, alright? I did have lessons as a kid, but you know, you're probably better than me, most of you, at the piano, but anyway. But it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? And I've applied some cool little things in the patch to make it have more realism and detail. So it's tracked by velocity, so a softer note, hitting that softly versus hitting it hard. You get more of this like aggressive pluck, like a string pluck on there. So I've programmed that into the patch. And yeah, let's run through all of how I made it and all that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, Margie? So, obviously, in Phase Plant, you have instrument samples, you know? And I thought, you know, if I just find one that's a harp, then I don't have to do any work, do I? Then it's already going to be done. But the problem with that is, the actual harps, they don't sound that great on their own yet, you know? Like it's kind of a harp, but it's kind of weird, and it doesn't sound very natural yet, or very celestial in any case. So what I ended up doing was choosing 4 different sounds, all within the factory presets of Phase Plant, and combining them together to create something that was more full sounding. So that was sort of the main body of the sound, and that is from the simple sound folder, the decays, and then the harp C4. Okay, and this is, yeah, sort of like the main body of the sound, and I've turned this one up a little bit to 156%. Then I wanted something more plucky, and I found this one. This is the sort of second most important sound, I would guess. This is the upright bass pluck. And yeah, it had that realistic string plucking sound on that the first one kind of missed. You know, the first one didn't have such a great transient on it. It kind of had the body, but it was missing that realistic pluck, you know. So I found that on the upright bass pluck, which is also that's in the grains and then instruments and then upright bass pluck. And this one, the same pitch on both of these. The level's just a bit lower on this one. And yeah, what I've done is I've tracked, as I said, I've tracked a few things to the velocity, and because this is like one of the pluck sounds, I wanted to control that with the velocity. So just a little bit. You strike the note louder. You know, you can set a velocity thing here, set that output to the level of that one, and then you know, I've basically controlled the range here. So on the oh no, sorry, that's on something else. All right, so the velocities, you know, it's going to be from, you know, 1 to 127 or whatever it is. That's what it is in Logic anyway. But yeah, it's just a small extra volume boost on that pluck sound when you hit with a higher velocity. Okay, and then I actually got another sort of plucky sound in that I found, which is a guitar knock. So this is just purely like an atonal thing, and that's on the Alfheim and then the Various and then the Guitar Knock 4, and then that's just extra pluckiness. And this one I've done really tracked it heavily to the velocity. So starts off at 0, and then so if I'm playing the note now really, really quietly, and you can like barely hear it, you know. If I really get it right and hit the lowest velocity note, you wouldn't hear it. Okay, but if I hit it hard, then you definitely hear it, right? Because I've tracked it here on the level to the velocity. So that's, yeah, that's one of the main ways I've made the harp more realistic. And then yeah, if we add them back in with the main body again. Okay, the other thing I've done for these plucks, I've added a little filter. So below the upright bass pluck, I've added a filter in here within that group, and then the same again for the guitar knock, and I've taken out a bunch of the low end on these. Okay, so just by ear, just sort of taking out 300 or 400 hertz, just to clear a bit of space for the body, just so the sound becomes a bit more defined. And then I had one more quarrel, which is I felt like it missed a bit of low end. So I found this other harp also. It's under the Simple Sound Transients, and it's a harp transient apparently. At least what it sounds like on its own is like this. Almost sounds a bit like a synth, doesn't it? And I pitched this one down -12 because it's quite a high pitched sort of synthy, plucky ARP kind of sound. So I pitched that down a bit. It's almost just like a little sine wave, sine wave boost, you know, boosting a bit of the power of the ARP a little bit. So that comes in. I've left obviously the low end in on that one because I kind of wanted a bit more push in the sort of sine wave realm, you know. So that's then all the ingredients. And so the velocity obviously is tracked to the level of the plucky ones, okay? And then the other thing I've tracked the velocity to is just the attack on everything. So what I've done is I've double clicked the attack on all of them, so it's brought it up to 10 milliseconds. So it's like it's got a slight little fade in, just a short fade in. And then I've tracked the velocity to all of the attacks and brought it to the left, 12%, which brings it back down to 1 millisecond. So what you'll get when you hit the note harder, all of the sound sources, all of the samples, the attack will be shorter. So it'll be like 1 millisecond instead of 10 milliseconds. So it'll be less of a fade in, and you'll get more of that initial transient as you hit it harder. So a little bit of an extra transient almost being allowed back in with a high velocity, plus the levels of the actual plucks being at a higher volume as well when you hit with a higher velocity. So those are I think those are the only things that I've tracked the velocity to. Yeah, so that's the velocity done. So just controlling like the attack and the pluckiness in a few different various key parameters. That's the word. Yeah, so that sounds great. Obviously, it's still very dry, and we're gonna massively reverb it to really give it that heavenly feeling. But the next thing that I actually wanted to do as well quickly was a little bit of pitch randomization on the master pitch. So I've added a random modulation source, kind of left it just how it is, and just set the output to the master pitch, and then I've right clicked and I've just done 0.2%, so it's very, very slight. Obviously, I'm hitting the same note here. That's the effect, you're hitting the same note, but the pitch changes, but just at a very small amount, at 0.2%. You don't hear like the actual note changing so much, but it's just moving a little bit off center to keep it a bit more realistic, and you can control the range of that. Also, just as a like fine-tuning, subtle control, you can just narrow the range of the randomness so it doesn't go all the way up and all the way down. So it's a little bit more controlled, and you don't really notice that the pitch is completely changing. It's just like a little realistic touch. Because in real life, obviously, hitting a string on a harp, like depending on how you hit the string, I suppose it might sort of the exact tuning of it will be slightly different, So that was just to account for that. Okay, and now let's make it sound wonderful by slapping on a bunch of reverb. And I've used two. Well, actually, quickly a bit of unison as well. I've only done 14%. Because it does get really sort of weird and synthy if you go up too high for this sort of realistic sound, So just a bit of stereo spread, 14%, where you don't really notice that it's on, but it's just a little bit of extra stereo harmonics. But now let's get really, really jazzy with the reverb. And this is, I've used two reverbs. One of them is like a shorter one, which is like kind of filling out the whole ARP, making it like more organic and natural sounding, but not like with a huge reverb tail. And then the second one is a huge reverb tail, but but this one is like mixed in a little bit less. So first one, putting it into that real stereo lovely space. And I've just chosen the Stairway University of or something. Turned the tone up a bit, and the mix is quite high, 45%. And that's sort of halfway there. That's like we've got the harp now in a music studio, But now to put it up into heaven, we need a long, big reverb, an infinite kind of one. And this is the York Minster, and this one is lovely. It just sounded really great on that. And I've mixed it about 43%, and I've turned the tone all the way up, so it's more of a high-end sort of sparkle rather than loads of low-end rumble. Trying to find the root note for ages, then it was A. Anyway, the root note of what? The root note that was in my imagination, obviously. Right. So the last thing was just a little dual delay to go on the end. These lovely little just plucky transients sort of delaying a little bit, but at a very, very low mix with the tone all the way up high, so it's more of a high-end kind of thing, and just about so you kind of just want to hear them only a little bit. So here, like, you definitely hear them at 5%, but sort of around 3 or 4%, you can almost hear them, but they just, it's really natural. It's like you're making the reverb a bit more natural by adding a little kind of delay into it as well. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I'm really hitting a lot of bum notes today. You're really getting a soft side of Artifact today, aren't you? Aren't you lucky? That's basically it then. I think I kind of stopped there. I was pretty happy with that. Not much more needs to be done to it. I think it sounds quite wonderful like that. So, is there anything else I wanted to mention? I thought there was just one more thing I was going to say. I think that's probably it for this one. Oh yeah, the other thing, obviously, you can see the polyphony is up at 16. I've turned off the glide and legato and things, so you can actually hit the. You can actually play chords and things like that. But I think this is a great usable sound, even in drum and bass or not, in film scoring, whatever. I just like sound design in general. I don't always have to make drum and bass sounds, but this one is something a bit off key today. And yes, hope you guys enjoyed that. Feel free to download it and grab it for free. So thank you very much for tuning in today, my Gs. May I just quickly remind you, I also have one-on-one music production lessons available on my website. Anytime you can book yourself in and have a Zoom session with me. I've also got preset packs on my website. I've got phase plant packs, vital packs, a couple of sample packs, a brand new sample pack as well for drum and bass, for dark, deep neurofunk drum and bass. And I've also got an amazing Discord community on Patreon. You can come over to Patreon and join for free as a member, but if you really want to get the best out of it and join our crew and get feedback on your tracks, have daily talks, come along and join in our Discord. And last but not least, we also have some brand new t-shirts for my record label, Artificial Music, also available on my website, and they are looking great, and I can't wait to get mine. It should be coming any day soon. Can't wait to rep that shirt, and thank you very much for watching. Take care, my Gs. More from me very soon. Have a great day. Peace out. Much love.